Okay, so this book is basically two storylines that happen at the same time. One, my return to Savannah. Back home after being gone for so long, and I went back to be near my father who was dying of a terminal illness. The second, oh, and I started work at one of the most famous restaurants there with a very small staff. It was a very small restaurant, but it was one of the most popular in Savannah. It was the kind of place where you would see Paula Dean and the bass player from AC/DC, Cliff Richards, at two different tables, only 5 feet apart, in their flip flops and not really being famous, and everyone around them not knowing who they were because no one else cared. The second storyline is my learning to knit at the same time and becoming really interested in it as a recreational and meditative tool for myself to unwind. Now, the two stories collide towards the middle of the book when the restaurant gets sold to somebody else and shit happens and the place becomes a nightmare. I'm there working 18 hours a day. I'm the head server. I've got bloody feet and I haven't had 5 minutes to myself in weeks. And the partner I had that I was supposed to marry I came home one day, he was gone. And I got obsessed about knitting. I don't mean just obsessed, I mean I was crazed. I was using it as an escape tool to say, okay, I would come home from the Firefly, close the door behind me, wouldn't take off my work clothes, but would sit there and just pound beer after beer after beer and just go back and forth counting rows and knit, 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 knit. And the more I did that, the more I could just put the world away. But at the same time, I wasn't feeding myself, I wasn't taking care of myself, I was becoming a nightmare, a disaster. And it was a descent into madness, hence the name Madman Knitting, because I kept it in my pockets at work. I would sneak into the bathroom, and while most people are doing like a line of coke in the bathroom, I'm pulling out my knitting to just go row one, row two, row three. And it was hellish until that point where I finally broke. I guess I had a nervous breakdown and stopped, and everything became much better. It was basically, and that's why I'm doing this on Independence Day, because it is the ultimate declaration of independence. I was doing what everyone told me, I was following the rules, I was being dutiful, and then at some point I said, fuck this, no, I'm not doing it, it's killing me, it is killing me. And it was all a wash, it was all gone. We all know what happened after that. Well, maybe you don't. I mean, maybe you're new to this whole situation. But I thought I had declared independence and I was doing great. I pushed all that madness away and said, I'm going to tend to myself. So I'm going to be reading passages throughout the day from the book, the more hilarious moments, because it is a funny book, it really is. But it's also got heartbreak, and it's also got flippancy, though. It's also got some really interesting commentary on the way that the world works. So I hope you enjoy some of the things that I've written, and well, let's just get started. Okay, here's the cool thing. The book is divided into two sections. Right side facing, wrong side facing. And just by the titles alone, if you're a knitter, you know what that means. But if you're not, it's a good play on words about everything is going good, everything is going great, this is the right side facing, and then you get wrong side facing, everything goes to shit. So you're going to see me reading passages from not only the restaurant experience, but also from my knitting experience, because when the two come together in that madness, it all works perfectly. So let's get started. This is one of my favorite passages from the book because it's also the one that the feminist used to try and destroy me, because they tried to take it out of context and lie and say that this is what I said without saying the whole thing of what I said, which gives you some clear insight into the way that people behave nowadays. They want to lie to destroy you. They won't tell the truth because they don't have an argument. They just want to take one thing he said, edit it down, and throw it out there into the world and say, see, this is the way he thinks about things. They used it as a way to call me a misogynistic, patriarchal, racist, homophobe, and there was no place in the world for people like me. So, but I'll read the passage to you so you can decide for yourself, okay? All right. I was on a train heading back to Savannah, and there was a woman sitting next to me. I had become very adept at learning to go back and forth with one little scheme. Sadly, only an hour into my train ride did I run out of yarn. What else was I to do? I pulled the whole thing apart and start all over again. So I did, with no hesitation, much to the bewilderment of a woman sitting by me. She snarled somewhat. A bitter-looking old thing with blue hair sneering in my direction. You know that sneer, that. Okay. I looked at her and said, yeah, I said with a little lilt in my voice. Seems funny, I know, but I'm still learning. So I take it apart, I knit it, take it apart again, knit it. And she said rather frankly, and rather rhetorically, I don't think it's right for men to knit. She then turned her head away disapprovingly, as if she were coyly calling me a faggot. So I said to her, oh yeah? Well, I don't think it's right for women to vote. So there. Sundays at the Firefly were brutal. Profitable, but brutal. People lined up around the block before we even opened, and once it started, it didn't stop. It was the longest day of the week, which is probably why Sharon didn't open at all on Monday. Every single one of us needed a day of rest after the madness that happened on a Sunday. It was a $300 day during a season. Yeah, if you were a server, you made $300 in a matter of hours. But you worked for it. You were cranking out tickets from the moment Carol flipped the sign from closed to open and then back again at 3 in the afternoon, closed. Often in the middle of the day, you had 3 seconds to spare and would rationalize what you'd rather do. Take a piss or have 2 puffs of a cigarette. There wasn't time to do both, so you had to decide which was more important to you. My first Sunday was just 2 weeks after I started, and to be truthful, I nearly did consider giving up the job. It wasn't the work, for the work was part of the trade. I love busy work. I love being hardworking. It was the clientele. The cubicle dwelling, 9-to-5ers were there at the absolute worst on Sunday. They brought children with them. Children that were given Cheerios that were never eaten but thrown everywhere. Why do y'all bring Cheerios to a restaurant? Children just slightly older than that and able to comprehend some sort of English were even worse. Okay, what would the young lady like? And instead of proper parenting skills coming to the rescue, the ridiculous would surface in people. Mom or dad would actually ask the 5-year-old, Sweetie, do you want pancakes or eggs? Meanwhile, Sweetie is chewing on a crayon and you're standing there with 500 things to do while waiting for Sweetie to answer the damn question. So you pull little things to suggest you're in a hurry and don't have all day to wait for Sweetie to decide. You look behind you at the other tables, you've got to see what you need to do next, and you politely suggest, maybe the pancakes. And then Sweetie finally makes a decision and pipes up with, chicken! Squeal. Alright. You don't have any chicken fingers, do you? Lady, does this look like a McDonald's? And what the hell are you feeding Sweetie that would make her want chicken fingers for breakfast? I'm afraid I don't. She might like the pancakes, though. Yeah, shit, I got things to do. Let's go. I don't know. They're so filling, and she'll probably only eat half of one. Give her 2 scrambled eggs. Then why the fuck did you even ask her the choice anyway? Oh, and you can put cheese on them, right? Do you have American cheese? Okay, let me get this right. Where the fuck are you people from? You want Kraft singles on your eggs? No, but I do have cheddar. Sweetie, do you want cheddar cheese on your eggs? Goes Sweetie, munching on a purple crayon while the infant next to her throws a Cheerio in her hair. Chicken! Shriek. Oh, you gotta love. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Savannah is the birthplace of the Girl Scouts. It is, well, Juliet Gordon-Low started the Girl Scouts in her living room in her mansion on a square. And every year, girls from all across America converge on Savannah at a certain time to pay their annual pilgrimage to the Juliet Gordon-Low house, okay? So, they are everywhere during that certain time, that season, Girl Scout season. But be mindful when passing the Juliet Gordon-Low house on Oglethorpe and Bull. There's forever a stream of Girl Scouts swarming in multitudes out front. If you can, simply cross to the other side, because if you accidentally knock one of the Girl Scouts over, they'll crack open and the demon will pop out. I moved into the carriage house behind the restaurant while Sharon still owned it, so that I could be close to work, and I was smack in the middle of everything, and I could be on top if the restaurant needed me. I could be there in 30 seconds. It was a great setup. I loved it. We'll talk about my first morning there. I was initiated into another aspect of New Savannah. My first morning in the tower, that's what I called it, the tower. I wasn't up with my usual morning early spirit, having spent most of the evening prior moving boxes and furniture. I decided to sleep in and woke to the bright light of sunrise, shearing its way through the balcony window into my bed. That, I think, was the best thing about the tower, that morning burst of sunlight that came right into my bed. I trotted downstairs to make some coffee, flipped on the radio to get the morning news, and realized that downstairs didn't get as much light as upstairs. There were only 2 windows the whole extent of the lower level. One window facing the street and a large window in the front door. I needed that beautiful sunrise to come bursting through there and breaking up so much dreariness, so I pulled open the shades on the front door, the warmth of the sun through the glass hitting me in my underwear. I smiled happily that I had moved, that I was so close to work, that I was now in the neighborhood of my clients, that I could leave my house at night feeling comfortable walking to Parker's for beers, smokes, and Wildfiber, my local yarn store, was right across the street. It was a great setup. I really loved being in that carriage house. I went back into the kitchen, made my coffee, headed back into the living room to enjoy the sunrise. But faces startled me. Sneering, leering, older faces peeping through the front door window. I heard one of them say, "Looks like only boxes. It must be for storage. I wonder if you can get in." And as one pulled back to take a picture through the window, I could see the dreaded sticker on their shirts. The sticker of shame, the decal of doom, the trolley sticker for tourists that lets them get on and off the trolley at designated locations so they can rummage around Savannah, then head back to their hotels. Before they had a chance to take the picture, I opened the door fully, yes, in my underwear, to exclaim quietly but firmly, "This is a private residence, thank you," and slammed the door. "How rude," I heard the woman say. I pulled the blinds closed and went back up to the balcony, putting on a pair of jeans before heading out to enjoy my coffee above the street. A trolley came by and slowed in front of the tower. I couldn't hear what the tour guide was saying, but could see in an instant anyone and everyone with a camera in that bloated bus raise and take a shot of me shirtless, cup of coffee in hand, wearing only jeans on that balcony. The trolley then strolled on. But it was only 20 minutes later when another came by and did exactly the same thing. Fine, let them take my picture. I'm a cutie, I don't care. Throughout that cup of coffee or two that first morning, I saw more tourists peeping through the windows of the row of brownstones across the street, and through mine as well. That was when it first dawned on me that Savannah had become something of a theme park. The tourists that strolled by were under the impression that these homes were fakes, props, decorated scenes to enhance the historic experience. And the trolleys that came by, they were nothing different than the monorails at Disney World. And we citizens of Savannah, we were cast members employed by some super corporation, actors portraying Main Street USA. You could hear them saying, "People don't actually live in these. Why aren't women wearing hoop skirts? That would have made it more authentic. Where can you find a cotton plantation? Is there one on the map? We saw some Negroes, but we crossed the street quickly."
Hi everybody! Gregory's reading his book to everybody today. I don't mean to sound retarded, it just
Yeah, it's
sorry, that was a little special. Gregory's reading his book to everybody. I hope everybody enjoys it.
I love the comment the woman made. Can you explain to me what your post means?
What
How
post?
can knitting arts be used to divide us?
Wow.
Did you not see that? It was an answer to your thing about using yarn art to cause diversity among people. And then it was some weird post after. Oh, this guy is always posting like stuff like this on this page.
Where is this?
It's on our Knitter BDM page.
You're kidding me, right?
No.
I'll tend to it. I'm going to
Alright.
finish this up. I'm almost done.
I just thought it was funny. I thought if you hadn't said anything about it, so I wasn't sure if you had seen it or not.
Probably not, but if I do, I'll give her a talking to. So Stevie was the guy that I was supposed to marry, and I came home one day and he was gone. All of his stuff was gone. And keep in mind, I had been having shitty weeks at the restaurant, and I came home and everything's gone, all of it. The loss of Stevie was the biggest thing that pressed on my mind. I had no idea where he'd gone, if he was well, if he was eating, if he was taking care of himself. I had lost the one thing I wanted more than anything, someone to take care of. I couldn't do it for my dad. I couldn't do it for the fly. I couldn't take care of either of those things, but my father and the fly were slowly dying, and nothing I could do would have saved them. And with Stevie's disappearance, the only thing I could see come to life, the only thing I could have flourish, was the knitting project in my hands. I was coming home at about 9 p.m., now with an 18-pack of beer, cracking one open and heading to a spot on the floor by the window. I listened to talk radio just to have voices around me, voices that could mention nothing about the fly, the dying dad, or the partner that had left me. I sat by the window just so I could look out and hopefully see him walk by. It had been weeks, and he didn't return my calls. I knit in the dark. Darkness is fond of hiding your shit, whereas daylight likes to remind you of truth. In the daylight, you could see me slowly withering away. You could see my hands all nicotine-stained and aging fast work their dry way with needles. You could see that I hadn't shaved, nor eaten properly in weeks. You could see the varicose veins rising up my legs. But in the dark, you couldn't see any of that. My hands, by the street lamps, glare, tittered away with the cabling knit, looking like two spiders rummaging up a home out of their spun beauty, my long fingers quickly working through the cables, the yarn, the needles. You couldn't see the stains on the clothes that I wore. You couldn't see my sad eyes, dreary and sullen. My legs would go numb from sitting cross-legged on the floor, but the intensity to which I had continued in my escape kept any pain at bay. And that's the point, isn't it? Keep traveling further and further away from the truth that there is no pain. I studied the pattern for a cable knit sweater, and often it would hit me while working that yarn slowly through my hands. You're losing everything. Focus. Wrong side. Slip one purlwise. Pass over. Knit two, purl two. Repeat from asterisks until the end of the row. Crack open more beer. Don't bother discarding any of the empty cans. Use them as ashtrays readily on hand. And when they're full of smoked up stokes and ash, keep them around to remind you of what's happening. You're losing everything. Yeah. Okay, so I had just been in Savannah for maybe 2 days, and my mother had come to say hello. She was so happy that it was now so close by that she could actually come and visit on occasion. She was only an hour away at this point. And so she said, I'm coming up and you're going to make me your famous spaghetti. And I said, okay, great, sounds good. So while she's there and I'm busy, and I barely unpacked, I was doing my thing, and I hear her mutter, shit. You don't have any martini glasses, do you? So, yeah, I keep in the bathroom next to the toothpaste. Mom, why would I have martini glasses? Well, I was hoping to have a martini with dinner. Nope, I don't have the first martini glass, Mom. Then we'll have to go get some. Let's go, come on. She motioned for me as she headed for the door, and we'll have to stop at a liquor store, too. We went to the nearest retailer for the glasses. Done. A simple set that suited her. She asked if I liked them, if I thought they were cute. Mom, they're yours to use whenever you come to visit. Do you like them? I do. I think they're quite nice. Moments later, we were at John and Gannon's buying the alcohol. I lurked around behind her as she scanned the vodka, went, that's the one I want, and then moved to the cash register. Not long after that, we were back at home. As I was prepping for dinner, I watched my mother out of the corner of my eye. She was telling me a story about some such thing that happened to some such person that I didn't know. To be truthful, I wasn't even really listening. I just noticed her take some ice out of the freezer, drop it into the martini glass, then add vodka and sip. She then had the audacity to say to see something completely rude about this person, another sip, and then went on to do this with the that and sip, sip, sip. Mom, aren't you going to put any vermouth in that? Oh no, I never do that. Vermouth will get you drunk, and I still have to drive home tonight. Okay. Okay. Well, don't you want an olive or an onion in it or anything like that? Why would I want that? We're about to have dinner, aren't we? Okay. All right, fine. Then, Mom, how in the world does this drink a martini? She raised her hand in a toast and said with a youthful smile, well, the glass, son, the glass. Yeah. If you find the book interesting at all, there's a link to the PDF above, and you can click on it and it'll take you right there. I think you'll have a great time. It's a lot of fun. There are some great moments in that book. There's also some serious intention behind it to show that escapism can be deadly and it can be heartbreaking. But if you declare your independence and say, no, I'm no longer following the rules, I'm going to take care of myself, you'll be just fine. So, thanks. Y'all have a great Independence Day.